In this problem, we're going to divide these numbers using long division. So the number that you're dividing into is called the dividend, and the number you're dividing by is called the divisor. So when we set this up, the dividend is going to go under our long division symbol, and the divisor is going to go on the outside. So our first step in long division is to look at the first digit of the dividend and ask ourselves, does the divisor go into just that first digit? So does 6 go into 1? And if so, how many times? Now, of course, 6 does not go into 1. It's too big. So then if that's the case, then we look at the first two digits together. So now we ask ourselves, does 6 go into not just 1, but does it go into 10? And now, because we're using these two digits together as a 10, it is big enough where 6 does go into it. So 6 goes into 10 how many times? It goes in one time, right? So you write the number of times that it goes in above the rightmost digit. Okay, now our next step is to multiply. So we're going to multiply that number that we just wrote on top times the 6, and we're going to write our answer down below the 10. So 1 multiplied by 6 equals 6, and we'll write that down below the 10. And now we're going to subtract. We're on to our next step, which is subtracting just the 10 minus the 6. So 10 minus 6 equals 4. And we'll bring down the 7 here, and we're done with one full cycle. From here, the steps that we just followed are just now going to repeat over and over again until the problem is done. So once again, we're going to look at our divisor and the first digit and say, does the divisor 6 go into 4? And if so, how many times? Well, 4 is still too small. 6 doesn't go into 4. So instead, we'll look at 4 and 7 as a 47 and say, all right, does 6 go into 47? And if so, how many times? So yes, 6 does go into 47. So you can think, okay, 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, on and on. Basically, long story short, 6 does go into 47 7 times. Okay, so now that we've got that 7, we've written it above. Now our next step is to multiply. So we're just multiplying the 7 times the 6 now. 7 times 6 equals 42. So we'll write that down below the 47. And our next step is to subtract. So 47 minus 42 equals 5. And now you'll notice there's nothing left for us to bring down. There's no other numbers. We've used the 1, the 0, and the 7. And so our problem is done. That means that this 5 left over is the remainder. And so our answer to this problem is 17 remainder 5. Remainder 5. Now you might sometimes write your answer as a fraction rather than a remainder. Whenever that is asked of you, what you would just do is write the remainder over your original divisor. So we could write this answer as 17 remainder 5, or we could write it as 17 and 5/6, where again that remainder 5 goes on top and the divisor 6 goes on the bottom. So that would be how you write your answer as a fraction or as a remainder, just depending on what the problem calls for.